Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm John Skinner and today we're looking at some fully trimmed rear seat units for the Jaguar MK2 models. Also applicable to the Jaguar 240 and 340 models, as they're essentially variants of the MK2 with the only major difference being the material that was used. Standardly from the factory, the MK2's left with leather seats, whereas the 240 and 340 models would have left with vinyl Ambla, which is a sort of PVC plastic material as per the panels. It's also worth noting that these are applicable to some of the Daimler V8 250s, but not all. Basically, the Daimler V8 250s had two styles of rear seats based on the width of the pleats. They had what we refer to as the wide pleat, which is roughly around 2 inches. And then they had the narrow pleat, which is roughly around 1 inch. Narrow pleat, you obviously ended up with a lot more pleats on the seats. When it was a wide pleat, it would be identical to these seats here. So it's literally identical to the MK2, as per this here. Whereas the narrow pleats, that's an example of the narrow pleat ones. You can just see how many pleats there are there. So this video here is not applicable to the narrow pleat version of the Daimler V8 250 2.5 V8, but it is applicable to the wide pleat version. So bear that in mind. What we've done here is we've done two factory spec kits for customers who have sent us their reconditioned frames, and then we've trimmed them up using obviously brand new seat covers and brand new molded seat foams. In terms of the seat covers and seat hardware, please do refer to my other videos and several other videos on my YouTube channel, as I've already detailed that, and I'm not really going to go into too much details about the actual seat covers, just a glaze over of certain details, shall we say. So do check out that video on our YouTube channel, and some of which will be linked at the end of this video here. So obviously what we've got, we've fully trimmed up the seats here. We do a fair bit of trimming of seats and consoles these days, as people want to make sure that a John Skinner kit is fitted the right way. But apart from that, our main core competence as a business is obviously manufacturing and shipping kits all over the world. Whether you're going to be fitting these yourself as an enthusiastic hobbyist, or you want to use a professional trimmer. For both cases, our kits are still the best option for that. And obviously if you're coming up stuck anywhere, either as yourself or a professional trimmer, we do recommend that people get in contact with us, because we can guide them through the process there, because these seat covers unfortunately are not particularly straightforward. They are not plug and play seat covers. Let's get a bit of a closer look to them. So this kit on the right has been done in Matador Red, which is an original Jaguar colour. And then this kit here has been done in Magnolia, which is also an original Jaguar colour. They've been done to the factory specs, which is the leather option. Now, when I say leather, we actually refer to it as leather-faced, because not everything is leather. The majority of the seat is leather. Essentially, the horseshoes on both the backrests and the cushions are leather. All of the pleated panel is leather, including the pleats on the armrest here. The leather tab on the armrest, sorry, the tab on the armrest is also leather. The top of the armrest is leather, leather, and leather. But then vinyl, you had things like this sort of area in here was vinyl. You had these side bits here were vinyl. This sort of piping that goes at the top here that gets trapped in between the rear seat and the rear parcel shelf, that was vinyl there. The retainers were either vinyl or moquette, depending on the era. In fact, we have both in this video, so that's vinyl, whereas that's moquette. Moquette being a short pile, no backing, sort of wool-based product, very much akin to the carpets that Jaguar tended to use during this era of production for things like retainers and backs of seats and things like that. On the cushions, obviously all that top part is leather there. These side bits here are leather, but this front bit here is vinyl. So yeah, that's what we refer to as leather-faced, i.e. the facings of the seats are leather. But that's the factory spec, but it's commonly referred to as leather within the industry. Not to be confused with our full leather option, which we can offer, where we would basically swap out any other vinyl pieces for leather, but things like moquette would stay the same, so do bear that in mind. So we can effectively offer a three-tier option on the seat covers. You've got vinyl Ambla at one end of the scale, full leather, which is an upgrade kit at the other end of the scale, or leather-faced, which is the factory spec for it. It's worth noting that the seat covers themselves are included as standard in the trim kit. If you're looking to get a complete interior trim kit, then they are included. But the seat foams, the molded seat foams, are sold separately. They are an optional extra, so bear that in mind. When it comes to leather, the majority of our colours are available in grained or smooth, as demonstrated here. So we've got grained and smooth, that's obviously in black. Both of these have been done in grained material there, but see our website for more details on that, and of course request some samples if you want them. Yeah, obviously what we've got here is 2 frames sent to us by customers who have reconditioned them before they sent them to us. We can do that if you want as well. Obviously, just talk to us about what level you want to go to with it. And then we've manufactured the seat covers. We've done a whole trim kit for these guys, manufactured the seat covers, and we have trimmed up the seats using new seat covers and new seat foams. It's worth noting on the moulded foams, and do see my other video for this, but moulded foams are moulded latex foams. They are quite dense, and thus you want to really make sure that you, especially with the cushion base, you've got to understand they're not plug and play seat covers. You can't get the seat cover and just plonk it over the top of the moulded foam and expect it to fit like a glove. It does take a decent amount of manipulation and tension to actually get it in there. So one, you've got to be almost stretching the seat cover itself, normally from the sort of middle. Stretch it a bit left, stretch it a bit right, normally a 2-person job. But then also, especially when you get to the edges here, you want to be almost bending, crushing the foam into place to actually get it wedged in inside the seat cover. And then you start moving organically through the seat cover to get it to fit and get that definition. So do bear that in mind, especially for the cushion, because it is that kind of one-piece version there. It does make it a very tight fit to get it in there, but it is achievable. As demonstrated here. It's a common question, that one, so bear that in mind. The backrest isn't as tricky in that regard because it's got this sort of gap in the middle of it where the armrest went, and so you've got a bit more play. Obviously, the thing to note with the backrest, and I touched on this in the video about the seat covers, is the last pleat before the armrest opening there is much wider on the seat covers, but that's done intentionally because it allows you to manipulate and pull it round into place so that when everything is said and done, on the seats there, it ends up as pretty much the same width as the rest of them. And then obviously you end up with, well, I'm not going to be able to do that one-handed. Let's do that down, otherwise the seat will collapse. But you can see on this one here, that's the sort of overall finish there. So everything's maintains pretty consistently across that area there. Obviously you have the leather tab there, which comes down quite long when it's in flap down, but obviously you want that length there so it gives you something to grab onto when it's tucked up inside there. But after that, you know, you're really looking for making sure the definition is nice, especially around this horseshoe area around here. There are sort of grooves in the moulded foams, which obviously you want the piping to be roughly following that element there and getting all that definition in. And then it kind of waterfalls off the front. The piping does not sit on that ridge, it sits below the ridge there. Yeah, not sure what else to really say on these bits and bobs here. Obviously, I don't want to consider this a trimming guide video. I'm just giving you an overview of how they should look. Obviously, you get this piping on the back edge here. Obviously, everything's a bit... I might see if I can slide that away, actually, and have a look at the back here. There we go. So, excuse me, I have got a bit of a cold at the moment, so apologies for my sniffling. So you have this piping here, which is... excuse me. Been lightly tacked on at the moment, but obviously that will get wedged in between the rear parcel shelf and the top of the rear seat here. But that's included as well. You can see the back of the seat here, so this is where all the armrest elements and guppings go. So you've got the fixings here. These are the vinyl loose materials that cover up the gap, and then you can see daylight through the other side there. So that's the element of how they're all trimmed. There you can see obviously this framework's been lovely sandblasted and painted. Trimmed all around the edge, basically using these clips here, but we always recommend using glue as well as the clips to keep it all in place there. So that's the back of the backrest. Let's actually see if I just move that there. Let's see if we can sneak a look at the underside of the cushion, but you're gonna have to bear with me as that is going to collapse on me. There we go. So yeah, cushion, obviously the foam underneath there, all been covered up with scrim, which is standard. But yeah, so trimmed all around the outside here. Some of these side panels here are actually foamed anyway, so it gives you a bit of definition going around there. Again, same principle as well. We always recommend a bit of glue, then a bit of fixings, clips. And then this, obviously this back edge here has the the moquette retainer, whereas that one had the vinyl retainer there. But you can see the consistency going all around. You want sort of plumpness going all around the curves. everything kind of stays consistent and in the same place, especially going down this front edge here. You want that piping to be as straight as possible going around there, and it's all to do with the placement and the tension of things, so bear that in mind. But like I say, more than happy to help you or your professional trimmer with a few bits of advice if they're coming up stuck. We do these kits day in, day out, have done for almost 50 years, using the same templates and patterns. Everything is now CNC CAD cuts on the CNC that I'm stood on at the moment, so that we know that seat covers are made as consistently as they possibly could be. So after that, it's just understanding how they all go together. But obviously, if you want to save yourself the hard work, just get us to do them for you. So yeah, bear that in mind. But anyway, yeah, please remember to like, share and subscribe for other classic car enthusiasts out there. Of course, check out the other videos on my channel, as there will be other information about your Jaguar Mark II restoration on there. I look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out our next video. Thank you.